Hey guys, welcome back to some more Borderlands 4 tips, tricks, and exploits. Today we're looking at the Lost Loot Machine. You might be losing legendaries to the Lost Loot Machine. And that's not just bad luck. I tested it for hours, it desyncs, it duplicates gears, it can even overwrite your legendaries if you don't grab them fast enough. Everything I show here has been recorded, there's no guessing. I ran some control tests, I dropped loot on the map, I fast traveled all over the place, I entered boss arenas, I emptied the vending machines, and I also watched the Lost Loot Machines for a very long time. I'll show you the raw clips and the timestamp so you can see exactly what's happening. And if you're enjoying this content, please consider liking and subscribing. Alright, let's get into this. Quick myth check first. Buying out of vendor A will refill vendor B. In my test, no. The machine contents are shared between vendors and don't refill that way. Will the Lost Loot Machine favor high-tier loot? Nope. In my test, it didn't reliably prioritize high-tier loot. It often pulled greens and blues, even when there were purples on the ground. Does the loot machine pick up items that you dropped? Nope, items I dropped out of inventory did not end up in the machine. Alright, let's get into some facts. Loot you dropped on the map will stay on the map the entire game session, even for hours. But load into a boss arena or a sub-map where it needs to load a new area, those ground drops will disappear. They're cleared by the instant load. Fact, the loot vending machines update on a delayed cycle. This is independent from the game start state. Meaning, just because you restarted your game state doesn't mean that the lost loot is going to be immediately filled. It will take the same time to refill the lost loot as if you just stayed there and kept watching it. I did some small scale loot testing where I dropped only a white and purple loot and then exited the game. I immediately rejoined to see if the lost loot had scooped up and showed that loot, but it was missing. So I tested it again. I suspected maybe I was too close to the loot when I quit game, so I dropped another 2 items. And this time, when I quit out of the game and came back, nothing. Nothing was in the lost loot. It was still empty. The timer hasn't procced for it to grab up its loot. So I sat and waited, and eventually, it pulled loot from my previous game session and the game session before that. However, it also had 3 duplicated white shotguns, which I didn't drop. I didn't drop these white shotguns. I have no idea where it pulled the loot from. It seems to be some kind of glitch, some error, computing error, because they're duplicates as well, and I didn't drop these. But here they are in my loot bin. And the weird gun duping aside, it was able to scoop gear from multiple game sessions. And here's where it gets messy. The machine was duping a lot. Throughout my testing, it duped a lot of items. I had multiple dupe shields, I had multiple dupe white shotguns, I had multiple dupe green rep kits. It had no rhyme or reason to why it was duping these items, but it did dupe a lot. In my testing, I dropped a bunch of loot, including 2 legendaries. The loot machine was very consistently not scooping up my high-level gear. It made a point of not scooping up my legendary, almost out of spite. I don't know why. It hates me. Eventually, though, I waited long enough, and it did scoop up my legendary loot. But here's the catch. If I didn't retrieve them, and I just restarted my game and came back to the Lost Loot Machine, both the legendaries were then replaced with other items that were non-legendary. And once the legendaries were replaced, I never got them back again. They were just gone. Alright, let's think of a scenario that you really want to get the legendary back. Let's say it's not just a legendary. Let's say it's a phosphane, and it fell off the map. You can't reach it, but you know it's still there and you really want to get it back. How do you do that? The very best thing you can do is not shoot any more guys. Don't drop any more loot on the map. Don't open any more loot chests. And any loot you see on the ground, scoop it up, sell it, get rid of it off the map, bank it, whatever you gotta do. Then go to one of your sanctuary cities and sit by a loot machine and just wait. Turn on Netflix, watch a show, and wait. Eventually, it'll scoop it up and give it to you. Probably. Bottom line, are these things broken? Yes, they're definitely not working as intended. The duplication of the gear is very strange, and when you exit out of the game with that loot bin full, it will scramble the gear that's in there. That shouldn't be happening. But hey, it does recover items, even across multiple game sessions, if you're patient enough. Drop your lost loot stories in the comments below, or any tips you have on the vending machine. I'd love to hear about them. And if you found this helpful, drop a like, subscribe, it all helps out. Thank you. Till next time, bye-bye.
Give me your damn loot!